30, we will call the Cumberland County Salary Board and Board of Commissioners meetings to order, beginning with the Salary Board. And I would love a roll call, please.
Well, good morning, Commissioners. Commissioner Niederer.
Here.
Commissioner Fasci.
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Present.
Controller Wickham.
Here.
Is there any public comment to be made at this time prior at the Salary Board? Desiree, is there anyone online?
No comment online.
Okay, very good. If there are none, we will go into the approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of August 15th.
I'll second. It's moved in second. All in favor, say aye. 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 Thank you. Next up is the approval of the Salary Board action
I'll
items.
make a motion to approve the salary board actions as provided.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the Salary Board at this time?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, we are adjourned. Thank you, Al. That is record time. If everyone would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Now call to order the Board of Commissioners meeting and begin with the roll call, please.
Commissioner Niederer.
Here.
Commissioner Fasci.
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger.
Is there any public comment on non-agenda items that would like to be offered at this time prior to the onset of our meeting? If you're online and would like to make comment, please use the raise your hand feature.
Comment online.
Okay, we will move forward then. First, it's lovely to see so many people here, and we would like to welcome all of the food bank representatives today as we recognize Hunger Action Month, which begins September 1st. Every year, Cumberland County recognizes Hunger Action Month to put a spotlight on the issue of food insecurity in our county and communities. We're going to be offering proclamations to all of the food banks represented here today, but I'd like to read the proclamation, and then we'll have folks come up and get a copy and we can take some photos. Representing the food banks today are Katie Kerr from Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, Sarah Walters, Natasha Thuma, and Emma Whitwer from Project Sheriff Carlisle. We have Tom Hunter from New Hope Ministries, Captain Joseph Smith from the Salvation Army, and Chris Connors from Shippensburg Produce and Outreach. So I'll read the proclamation and then we can get some photos going. The proclamation that we'll be handing out today states, whereas each September we come together to raise awareness about food insecurity in our county and state, recognizing that when people are fed, futures are nourished, and with every action, big or small, we move closer to ensuring that no one goes hungry. And whereas in our state, more than 1.5 million individuals, including 1 in every 6 children, experience food insecurity, according to Feed America. And whereas in Cumberland County, 1 in 11 adults face hunger, 1 child out of 10 is food insecure, and 7.2% of our 270,000 residents experience food insecurity. And whereas Cumberland County has experienced a 27% increase in the cost of food, and the average cost of a meal has risen to $3.89. According to Feeding America, adequate nutritious food has become more expensive and out of reach for many of our Cumberland County residents. And whereas we must all work together to address food insecurity within our county, we call on residents and employees to donate if they can, volunteer at one of the many food banks if they are able, or advocate and lend their voices to help those in need in our community. Now, therefore, the Cumberland County Commissioners proclaim September 2024 as Hunger Action Month. So we will make some presentations, and I believe up first, we may have the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. Come on around. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Kier. Kira? Okay, wonderful. Thank you for being here. We have Kira here as well. Did you want us to hold it? Samantha, did you say you had a sign you want us to hold as well? With every shot.
I just want to do two, one on each end.
Yes. Okay, yeah, I think that's probably good balance. Thank you. Wrong way. Other way.
That's it.
Other way. There you go.
Reuse from the 2026.
There's another one coming. So,
Does that look good then?
Yeah, that looks nice.
See a little.
All right, everyone, look here. I'm going to take a couple. All right.
Perfect, thank you for coming in and for the good work that you do to assist a lot of the food pantries that are represented here and in just keeping people fed. Would you like to make a few comments or you're not required to, but you're more than welcome to.
Well, Hunger Action Month is a time for us to not only recognize the work that Food Bank does, but that our partners do, and that hunger does exist in our communities. And it's an issue that I think often goes kind of under the rugs. We don't always see hunger. Hunger looks like a lot of different things, and a lot of our families struggle to make ends meet, and that includes food. So we're grateful for you to recognize Hunger Action Month. It's a big deal for us to continue the work that we do. So thank you for taking the time to recognize such an important time of year, and we're excited to continue our work, especially next month. We have a lot going on, so we are very excited.
Thank you for the good work you do. We appreciate you stopping by, and you don't need to stay for the whole meeting. You are free to stay or leave. It's entirely up to you. Thank you. Did you guys want to say
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate everything you do, everything. We really, not only for the region, but for Cumberland County, really assists in a tremendous way.
Well, if you ever need anything, you know where to find us.
we do. All right. Samantha, we have the folks from Project Share in Carlisle. If you'd like to come on up. Hi, Emma. Good morning. We'll go round two again here. Good to see you. Good morning, Emma. So I don't know how you want you, and I'll defer to you on how you want to line up.
Can I get everybody to go this direction? Okay.
Sorry.
That looks good. Okay. Yep. This looks good. All right, I'm taking a couple again.
Would you like to make any comments?
I just want to say thank you so much. As commissioners, we are bringing so much visibility to the need of food insecurity in our community. So thank you for your advocacy, the visibility, and for this recognition. Thank you.
Thank you all for the great work that you're doing. We were fortunate to have a tour and just could not believe all of the changes that you've made to just meet people's needs that are vastly changing in our community, and just how welcoming and supportive you are to those families. So thank you all. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Next up, we have Tom Hunter, or I'm sorry, is it?
Yeah, Tom.
Tom, okay, I can't read my own writing. With New Hope Ministries.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
And we have a special guest as well.
Oh, do you? Okay, wonderful. Oh, I heard them out there. I didn't know what was coming. Morning, Tom. So this. I don't know how much you hate this individual.
What a good sport Abby is. She didn't know that she's gonna be doing this morning. So thank you. She was willing to dress up as actually month. So Thank you.
Over here in the middle.
Come on.
Next to you.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna take a couple pictures, 7-1. All right.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing levity and important.
Yes.
Tom, did you want to make any comments about your program?
We've seen unprecedented numbers of folks coming to our centers for help. And I'm not sure that we could do what we do without the assistance of Cumberland County through, all the food resources, all the equipment resources and financial resources. We're just so thankful to have Cumberland County supporting us in, especially in Hunger Action Month. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the good work you do.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Thank you for being willing to trade the corn cob. Tammy's the spotter. Thank you, Tammy. Captain Smith, we welcome you up.
I'm not a corner, but I do have.
Uniform.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much for coming.
All right. All right.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Captain, did you?
Yes, thank you for this. This is wonderful that we recognize the need and, at the Salvation Army, we serve 2 meals, breakfast and a dinner. We're serving about 850 to 870 meals a month to the community, and we just couldn't do it without the resources and working together with so many wonderful nonprofits in this community. In Cumberland County, there are so many nonprofits, and it's such a wonderful opportunity to work together to help this community. And we're grateful for what all you do, and we thank you for this. And we'll continue to, the Salvation Army will continue to do our best to help this community in every way we can.
Thank you.
Thank
You do
you
a
so
great
much.
job. Thank
Thank
you. Certainly last but not least, we have some folks from Shippensburg Produce Outreach. Chris, Connor?
This is my lovely wife, and better half. She's also our director of development.
That's right. Yes. Hi, Kelly. Good to see you. Good to see you again. Good to see you. Yeah.
All right.
Commissioner Fashi and I had the delightful experience to tour and see all that you all are doing in the Shippensburg community, and I had made an announcement here after that meeting that I'm a lifelong resident and didn't know such a resource existed and is in such need. So thank you for serving that our western part of the county and filling a void that exists. And I know that I love that it's this husband-wife duo, and I don't know who wrangled who, but you're both incredibly passionate about the service you're providing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We did want to thank the commissioners for coming out to the western frontier of Cumberland County and including Shippensburg in this important event. We are very grateful for the partners in and around Carlisle as well, and Central Pennsylvania Food Bank too. It is still part of Cumberland County, and we encourage folks to get the message out there that hunger knows no bounds, and it goes all the way to the end and beyond Cumberland County. So please include us in your outreach as well, and you already do. So thank you for what you do, and commissioners, thank you also for making that trek out there. And we hope to get to see you out there more often.
Well, it was our pleasure. Thank you.
Great seeing you.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Commissioners, we just like to take one group shot.
Oh,
Oh, there, everybody,
Yeah.
yes, okay. If you want to
Sure.
sit
People
that
up there,
down,
yeah.
feel free.
Yes, we're going.
Yeah.
And I wore my orange.
Wherever.
We need some folks up here.
Yeah, we'll do 2 rows in the middle.
Yeah.
You just want to stagger.
Short people.
Flare out here. Does that work then?
You two want to hold the side, that would be great.
Can I get one of you on the end to come kind of over in the front here? And just in between, if you guys in the back wanna spread out a little, just a little bit there.
You're fine.
Move- Yep, right there.
You can do that.
Okay. All right, I think I can see everyone. Yep, okay, everyone look here. All right.
Great,
Good,
thank you.
you.
Thank you all.
It's a little warm out there.
I can't take it.
Now that the fun is over, we'll get down to business and beginning with the consent agenda.
Morning, Commissioners, morning, everyone. The consent agenda is a list of routine items that do not appear to be controversial in nature and which do not appear to require any additional discussion. If discussion is desired on any particular item, agenda items number 5 through 12, and that would be the time to make that request. Hearing none and seeing none, Commissioners, I'd ask for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
That takes us then to the regular agenda, which is a list of non-routine items that will be discussed and may be acted upon individually. And we'll start with agenda item number 13. We have Ginny Rogers here to discuss a letter of support regarding the COVID-19 ARPA Capital Projects Fund Digital Connectivity Technology Program Grant Application. Ginny, good morning.
Good morning. Are you guys able to hear me?
We are, yes. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you very much for having me today. I did intend to be there. Unfortunately, I had a little bit of a family emergency, so I couldn't be with you in person. So I do appreciate this opportunity to talk with you today. So the Center for Independent Living at Central PA, we serve 5 Central PA counties with our core services, including Dauphin, Cumberland, Juniata, Perry, and Mifflin counties. So I don't know if any of you are familiar already with the Center for Independent Living. I see some nodding, excellent. So we work with people with disabilities of any age and with any disability. So our primary goals are to help people remain as independent in their community as they can. And we do that through a variety of services. So one of the things that we looked at was this digital connectivity grant, and it is essentially both providing potentially laptops through this grant opportunity to other organizations or agencies that we would collaborate with to make them available, and to a certain population that we serve, people with disabilities, to basically be provided what we call skills training. So the skills would be both, well, it's basically the intention is to help the person to, one, learn about the computer so that they're very comfortable and knowledgeable about how to use the actual equipment, but also how to use it to engage with the community in a broader way. So those things that they're looking for specifically are potentially being able to get a job, get a job. A lot of work now is done online in terms of like online applications, for job postings. The other thing is education, potential education, situations. And again, we would make available, like online training opportunities. And then the third thing is health monitoring. So basically helping people to connect with their own physicians, PCP offices. A lot of medical situations are handled through the portals. So this is intended to help people to have greater understanding and ability to use computers and online connectivity to be able to essentially pursue their own goals. So that would be as we're working with people, if we find out that they have an employment goal, for example, we work with them to create a plan to be able to get to that goal. And so those tasks are going to vary by person. Our plan with this is to work with some of our partners. One, we're including nursing facilities. One of the major tasks or activities that we do is what we call nursing facility transition. So this is, sometimes people go into a nursing facility for rehab, or there's a health event that occurs, and then sometimes they never intended to stay, but something has happened and there's a barrier to having them move back home. Maybe there's a loss of family support or a loss of a housing situation. Housing is a big one right now. So this would be potentially working with the facility to make these potential laptops maybe like setting up some kind of a computer lab, or another idea. Just depends on how many people would potentially be interested, but there's a lot of tasks involved. Like sometimes people need access to apply for their birth certificates or their identification. Depending on the situation, they may have lost all of the access to those kind of tools. And then the whole housing application, filling out housing applications potentially online. So that's our nursing facility idea. So
Denise,
yeah.
It sounds like all really great work. I'm familiar with your work in Upper Dauphin County when I was working there a lot, and the wonderful things you were doing. But quite frankly, you had me at training, and so I hope that you are lucky in obtaining this grant, and the board will, I would accept a motion to approve the letter of support.
I move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Jenny.
Good day.
That takes us then to agenda item 14, which is discussion and approval of resolution 2024-22 regarding an application to DCED and ESG program funds. We have Michaela Kitchen here to present.
Morning, everybody. As in previous years, the Cumberland County Redevelopment Authority is preparing to submit an application for Emergency Solutions Grant Program to DCED on behalf of the County of Cumberland. This program provides funds to offer resources to address the needs of homeless people to quickly regain stability in permanent housing after experiencing a housing crisis and/or homelessness. The authority is proposing to apply for $480,093.97. These funds will be used for emergency shelter, essential services and operations, rapid rehousing, rental assistance and services, street outreach, case management and essential services, homelessness prevention, financial assistance, services and rental assistance, HMIS, and administrative costs. There are 4 eligible applicants included in our proposal: Safe Harbor, Community Cares, New Hope Ministries, and Domestic Violence Services of Cumberland and Perry County. The funds will be matched at 100% with in-kind donations and volunteer time by the following organizations: the Balzirit Foundation, I hope I'm saying that correctly, Stable Foundation, UPMC Street Medicine, Fair Grant, Samaritan Fellowship, United Way, Partnership for Better Health, McCormick Family Foundation, and the Continuum of Care Rapid Rehousing Funds. So commissioners, we would be seeking an approval of the resolution and the grant application for those funds.
Kayla, would you please say that number again? The amount of the grant?
$480,093.97.
Okay, so my resolution says 79.
Our paperwork all says 79 cents.
I'll be honest with you, my coworker typed this up for me, so it might be on our end.
I just want to make sure we get it right before we give you the resolution.
And everything that we received had said 79 cents, so I'm guessing maybe that's the.
I'm thinking it might be that then. I apologize.
Because I received multiple different things from Brianna. With
Okay.
Yes,
79
yes,
cents.
it's her program essentially, so I'm kind of just the representative today.
Well, it's an excellent program, and I appreciate the work that prevents people from becoming homeless. Absolutely. Thank you, Michaela.
And all of the other foundations and nonprofits that match
Yes.
fund to make this happen. So thank you, Kayla, for helping to coordinate that.
Someone like to make a motion?
Move for approval of the grant application.
Moved. The resolution.
It's two separate.
Oh, sorry.
So what are we do? Are we approving a grant application or are we approving a resolution that we're signing?
Both, but first the resolution.
The resolution is needed as part of the application presented.
I'll look for adoption of the resolution.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The grant application.
I'm gonna move to approve the grant application.
I'll second that.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry for the confusion.
That's okay.
Paperwork for 18 cents.
You know what? I'll pay it myself at that point.
Okay, that takes us then to agenda item 16. We have Nikki Gresh and Lisa Ryder here to discuss the Cumberland County fiscal year 2025-2026 needs-based budget.
And we brought.
And Mr. Benner.
We have our own special guest, but he wouldn't dress up.
Dress.
That's during the holiday season.
Good morning, Commissioners. We're here to present to you our needs-based budget. And today we're going to start with the fiscal side. Seems to be a lot of that.
So I have two papers this year, our normal budget summary and an overmatch history of our APs.
Thanks.
So I'm going to start with the budget summary for the needs-based budget. The first column is the fiscal year 23-24 that we just ended. So this is an estimated actual. I pretty much have the expenses. I have one more expense to get in there, but it's pretty much actual. I have to do the revenue side yet. But it is an estimate in the budget. So our spending between fiscal year 23-24 and 22-23 and 23-24, we increased about $3.5 million. We had a few years of COVID where expenses were really down, placements were down. We are now officially out, and this year really showed it. Children and youth, our placements were only up 1.8%. However, juvenile probation and the cost centers of community-based placements, shelter, and YDCs had a 62.5% increase from fiscal year to fiscal year. That coupled with the high per diems in these congregate care placements. You guys see when Jamie brings the contracts, they're extremely high. Some placements are $800 a day. The YDCs this year are $929 a day. So with those expenses, that really, we showed a huge increase. We have 9 active congregate care placements right now of complex cases. 7 of those youth have either had double occupancy that we had to pay for, or we have to pay the $700 per diem and one-on-one hourly rate additional to the per diem for those providers to maintain these kids. They're very hard to place kids. Nobody will take them, and this is the only way they will take them. We've also had, in this past fiscal year, children and youth had 20 youth and JPO had 5, where they were in shelter for longer than 30 days, which is usually the emergency shelter is 30 days or less. But we've had some 186 days we had one youth in shelter because there was nowhere that would take these youth. So our shelter costs are high, and those are extremely high per diems. So that is like the main reason why our
increase was so high. The other part was due to the compensation study, the salary increases we did get into the fiscal year, but they weren't in the certified numbers. Because our certified numbers are based on for fiscal year 23-24, were based on 21-22 fiscal year. And we were still low because of COVID and that. So with the higher expenses, we will gradually grow and get bigger with our state funding. And also with the great efforts and support from the county regarding our merit-based hire, we no longer have any lag time and vacancy rates. We have a hiring list for our caseworkers. As soon as somebody leaves, we are able to get them hired more quickly. So with all that being said, we will be an overmatch in fiscal year 23-24, a lot higher than expected due to the high per diems in congregate care and these extremely complex youth. We have heard no indication about not being made whole by the state. My history of being with the county 30 years, we've always been made whole by the county. I did include an overmatch history, kind of shows the years we're in overmatch. We had a few years where it's been greater than $1 million. I'm anticipating 1.2 for this fiscal year. It usually takes 2 years to get out of that overmatch, so I'll anticipate it overmatch again next year, but then we should get back into a level where our state funding is what we asked for or what we need, what the needs are.
Lisa, can you, your notation here, your estimate of 1.2, and then there's a number of just, 939,000 below it that says IMP.
That's our implementation year. That's the year we are currently in.
Okay.
So that's the second column on this budget summary.
And then the NBB.
That's our needs-based year. So that'll be next year. Okay. So our implementation year is fiscal year 24-25. Our certified amounts were based on 22-23 numbers. So that's why I anticipate overmatch again, because we didn't have such a great increase yet. It's really the 23-24 years where the state will base our 25-26 numbers from.
And is that when salaries will also catch up?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
So that's next year's budget
It
time.
usually takes 2 years to get out of the cycle. Yep.
And then Lisa, the only other question I had for you is when you were talking about you have a child that is very challenging and they're charging a daily rate and then an hourly rate on top of that. Do you know what that equates to in any given day roughly?
Just under $1,300 a day.
$1,300.
Yes, this particular youth, they are charging one-on-one for 24 hours a day. We are currently working to get her moved. I heard from Jamie yesterday, so keeping my fingers crossed. But most of the other ones that are one-on-one, usually they only bill us during the waking hours and they won't bill us during like a 24-hour period. But I think this was a long-term youth that we've had for many, many years. You can speak more about her.
Yeah, she has gone through many of our placements. We have tried everything. We've done extensive family finding to bring her supports. It's a struggle. Yeah.
Very challenging. And so in an example like that, there will be a period at which point she may age out of the system.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. We have an entire team that meets monthly. Any of these complex kids, youth that we usually have a monthly meeting that is happening to give updates, and it involves even other disciplines. I saw Annie was here, Robin's, mental health, IDD, we're all working together. The state sits in on some of those calls. Our regional sits in on those calls. We're trying to do everything we can to prepare them. Yeah.
Okay.
And we do have independent living and aftercare. We really try to, if they want to leave us, to utilize, that they utilize those skills as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I have. I don't know if Andy wants to talk about his placements and the big increase that we've seen and his
Sure, I
efforts.
mean, I can, and we've had these discussions in the past. Obviously, we're seeing an increase in youth for our department of about 35% on average since 2020. And we've talked about the growing county. Since 2000, compared to 2022-23 to 23-24, we've seen a 52% increase in our institutional bed days, which I would call our programs that not including our youth development centers, our state-run facilities. In addition to that, when I look at the state-run institutions, we experienced a 26% increase in those bed days. And again, those are at that cost of $929 a day for this year. Reasons for that are that a lot of our community-based providers are either no longer in business or have very limited, have had this cut back significantly because of staffing issues, retention issues, insurance issues. Our private providers are in a tough spot. They're struggling just to keep their doors open. And in the past, those were the facilities that we could utilize more often. Years ago, we didn't even utilize the state system, and now we're averaging 2 to 3 youth throughout the year in those facilities at $929 a day. So that's where a lot of the significant cost is coming from. And again, Lisa talked about the complex cases, and we have those same cases, and a lot of our private providers, because of the allegations and the problems that they're having in facilities and facing the lawsuits, they're not taking some of the youth that we're referring, especially ones that are assaultive. And causing issues in the community or in previous facilities. So we really are forced to look towards our institutional and the state-run facilities for those youth. As far as shelter, we've seen some increase there, but again, we don't have a detention option right now. We have some from time to time, but not having a detention option has resulted in our increased use of just shelter days. Really, all our youth that were taken out of the community are being placed in a shelter right now, for the most part, which means our detention numbers have come down. Because we don't have that resource available right now, but the result is an increase in shelter. And then when you couple that with a lot of these placements don't have availability for 2 to 3 months, so we have a youth in shelter that needs placement, we can't put them back in the community, so they end up staying in these facilities for longer periods of time. And we try to move them as soon as we can because they're not getting treatment when they're in a shelter or detention facility. We want to get them to a treatment facility. And a lot of times those are the places that we have to lean towards our institutional placements and our state secure facilities. So, I think there's a lot of factors in play, and I know that you're aware of them, but that's really, I think, where a lot of this problem is coming from. It's a backlog. It's the lack of services, the lack of problems with private providers, and it's having a trickle-down effect on the services that we have available.
Yeah, and because I can still say I'm new, right? I'm not a full year here yet. And thank you for really keeping this board up to speed on what you're facing. This isn't a surprise to us because of the good work you've done in letting us know. But it seems to me that you were always dealing with a situation that was like a funnel. You have this group that you're trying to get through to get out the other side, And now the funnel's gotten smaller and the group at the top has gotten bigger, and it's just harder and harder and more expensive as the process rolls through. So
yeah, we have, I have down here this past year, we've worked with 28 youth that have really met the criteria of either chronic offenders, serious chronic offenders, or serious chronic and violent offenders. So when you're looking at almost 30 youth that, even at the lower level of the chronic offender, that's 4 or more referrals within the community. So, those are youth that we certainly need to pay attention to and address. And as it steps up, it gets a little more serious with the serious ones who have really been adjudicated on felonies, and some of the other ones that we're talking robbery, gun charges, and aggravated assaults. So there's a population of youth, right, in our community that certainly need treatment. And that's certainly, we try to find the best resources available, but those types of youth are not being taken in our private provider community, which at one point they were, because a lot of the challenges that our providers are facing.
So I'm gonna try to make it more positive and on a positive note, just to kind of bring it back full circle. What I will say is that in Cumberland County, our collaboration continues to be one of the things that really helps us. My work with Annie, Sue, now Mark, Jack, Andy, as the human services team, we have obviously families and kids that cross systems, and we work really well together. When I go to meetings and hear that other counties don't have that, I know how valuable that is to us. The hiring that we have done and the work that we have done to keep our staff has been really amazing. The staff have given lots of feedback. When somebody is leaving, to know someone is coming right in has taken a weight off them. They know they're not getting all the cases dumped on them or, shared, and then they have to work longer. So that's been a benefit. The other thing is we did add a couple of new services that I wrote about in the budget that we're expanding. We added another provider for family group for a service. We're looking for more in-home services because if you recall, my in-home services is really where we're seeing that increase. So we were really proactive in trying to find more how to keep families safe in their own homes, what we can do to prevent the placement, and what other items can we put in place to preserve placement. So if a youth is in a foster home, I would rather put more services in the foster home and try to maintain the youth there than having them have to go into a shelter or another facility. We know the statistics that as soon as they enter into them and start that process, it's kind of like it rolls right downhill.
Yeah.
So we are doing that more and more. We're offering more to the foster agencies, to kinship agencies, all of that. What more services can we help you with? We have some housing money. We have helped kinship families with food, gift cards to try to help stabilize their home. So I really think we are thinking out of the box and utilizing our funds as much as we can to be more positive, to kind of keep kids out of placement, maintain them in their home, keep them safe. I think, we're getting there. So it feels really good.
Good, wonderful. Vicky, the one thing.
Brought it in.
The one thing that I would say that I've also seen and have been really impressed by is, as you indicated, the collaboration that you have with all of the other departments, but then that also with the courts.
Yeah.
And how engaged all of the departments are within working with the courts to try and make sure kids get the best possible outcome for the situations that they're unfortunately. So.
I would just add from the delinquency side, and I've said this before, I have a lot of contact with a lot of the leadership at the Juvenile Court Judges Commission, PCCD, and I'm sure you're going to have an opportunity to be a part of these discussions. But my understanding is there is a lot of talk about, this isn't a Cumberland County problem, it's a statewide problem. There's a lot of talk about some type of juvenile justice package as being part of the governor's budget. And certainly, however that comes down to help counties, I think support counties and support our providers. I'm hearing anywhere from $10 to $40 million possibly. Now, obviously, you hear that until you see it, you actually don't see it. But I think there is a lot of talk about the delinquency system and a lot of the problems that we're facing. I certainly think you will have the opportunity to be part of those discussions because this really is a statewide. We're in a crisis situation with our delinquency system right now, statewide.
And in that vein, are you hearing any word out of the state that they're looking at expanding their facilities because of the lack of? Or?
So, I don't know that that's the answer because I think the facilities are there. Okay. It's not a matter of not having facilities. It's a matter of not having funds to run the facilities and staff the facilities that they currently have. I don't think in the juvenile justice system, the answer is to build more facilities if you don't need them. But the problem is these programs can't manage with the funds that they have. So they can't retain staff. We have a detention center down in New Morgan that only has 12 beds available. It's a 48 to 60 bed facility, but they can't open more beds because they don't have the resources to fund staff and retain staff. And, and then with all the other issues and the per diems are paying for insurance. So, I don't know that building more facilities is the answer. I think finding a way to get money into the system where our provider communities and we can apply for additional grants and funding to support our system is more the direction that we should be leaning towards. And then obviously, I think the juvenile justice system has done a great job of cutting costs and making sure that only youth that are in these programs now are youth that need treatment and should be in these programs. We're in a good place with that. It's just a matter of having the resources available to support what the current need is.
I appreciate that as we reach out to maybe the legislatures that we interact with or senators that we may see to let them know, please, if you have an opportunity to look at how to target that money. So it's not facility based because those are easy projects oftentimes. But thank you.
So our request today is to sign our needs-based budget. There is a second part to it that's our CWIS agreement, and that is an agreement basically so that we can transmit documents to the state. That's all that is. But they're all one. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, so we need a
motion.
So I'm gonna move to approve the Cumberland County fiscal year 2025-2026 needs-based budget.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, commissioners. The next portion of the regular agenda is contracts and grants. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Angela Smicer to cover this.
Thanks, Stacy. Good morning, everybody. Moving on to agenda item 17, I will call on Christine Bowden to discuss the contracts for aging and community services. Good morning, Christine.
Good morning, commissioners. The first contract is with Rabbit. Rabbit had an increase in rates, which changed our contract, and for the next 3 years, we would like approval for that contract with the new rates. Rabbit serves our seniors in providing transportation. The next 5 contracts are for our senior centers: Big Spring Senior Center, Enola, Meadowhaven, Messiah, which works with both Mechanicsburg and West Shore. We would like approval to provide an additional $15,000 to each one of those centers to cover some operating costs and capital projects that they completed during the 23-24 fiscal year.
And Christine, the only question I would have, it appears that those increases, that is funding from the block grant.
That is correct. The aging block grant, yes.
Aging block grant. And have you been pleased with are you hearing good things on Rabbit Transit service from your folks?
We haven't really heard, there were some issues, but mainly seniors that want to be funded to do things that we don't cover. We have to limit the covering. We have worked with them to make sure we're doing the necessities such as going to work, going to the senior centers, those things that prevent social isolation. But other than that, there hasn't been anything. And then this year we started the increase. We'll be starting with the 60 to 64 of them having a copay of $2. So we probably will get a little feedback from that, but we haven't heard anything as of yet.
Okay, well, let us know as you hear, please.
We will.
Thank you. I know I'm hearing in the community of more seniors reaching out that are struggling with food costs, with just the costs in general in this environment. So I know that people are very much valuing all of the services that you're offering. Is there any other questions of Christine?
I'll move for approval of the contracts as outlined.
A second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 18, I will call on Jamie River to discuss the contracts for children and youth. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, everyone. The first contract I have is for Janelle Carball, MSW LC SW, Family Centered Services LLC. She provides family group services for our families. She did not ask for any increases this year. However, we did add an additional level, being the emergency response family group, which is when we need to have a family meeting pulled together within 24 hours, which does happen on occasion. So we did want to add that to her spectrum of services for this year. And then the second one is the Children's Home of Pittsburgh. We don't use them very often, obviously, because they are in Pittsburgh and further away. However, they did request increases between $4 and $10 per day. And that whole increase is going directly to the foster parents that are caring for the children in their home due to the cost of living needs, so that they're supporting the families more. Are there any questions?
Don't have any, Jamie. Nope. I will move to approve the contracts for children and youth services as set forth in agenda item 18.
I will second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Moving on to agenda item 19, I will call on Ryan Simon to discuss the contract for drug and alcohol.
Good morning. We're looking to contract with Eagleville Hospital. Eagleville provides inpatient drug and alcohol services and they're asking for increases between 3 and 10% on their various rates. Their home county has reviewed the rates and approved them, and we would only be sending people there if they were in fact needed to go, and we would use state and federal funds. Any questions?
None for me, thank you. Entertain a motion.
I'll move for approval.
I second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 20, I will call on Robin Tolan to discuss the contracts for MHIDD. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rob.
So regarding the contracts for our office, the first one, Early Intervention, International Corporate Training and Marketing LLC, is an increase of $2,226 for fiscal year 23-24. And that is for our early intervention program, which is a mandated requirement. So that was an increase in the services that were provided for language interpretation. The next one, Health Choices, fiscal year 2024, is for Maranatha. That is our social determinants of health project that is utilizing Health Choices reinvestment funds. And that was additional funds that were identified through the reinvestment process that are available through the end of December. So that is what that increase is for us to continue to provide the social determinants of health funding that we have been doing through our office. The next one is for AHEAD, which is for an IDD service, an intellectual and developmental disability service. Again, this is a renewal for 24-25 fiscal year for supported employment services, and it actually shows a decrease of $5,087 for that one. Next one for mental health is for the fiscal year 24-25 contract year, fiscal year, and that is our renewal for our New Vision services. And as you will remember, we adjusted those for 6-month contracts. So that is what that is regarding for our New Vision services that provides the consumer-driven lodges, the housing support, residential, and social rehabilitation services. And then the last one is for Geneva Worldwide, which is a new renewal for fiscal year 24-25 that has a $500 increase. And that is for EI, IDD, MH services for language interpretation. Any questions about any of those?
Robin, I know you've been with the county for a little bit now. Have you just some sense of the language interpretation issues that you're facing?
Well, most recently, my understanding and more from the children's side of things, from Megan Johnston, we're seeing a significant increase of individuals from Nepal, and the Nepali and Bhutanese families have exploded in the area, and that's causing a lot of difficulty in the school districts, especially with them being able to support the children, the individuals in schools. And then also in our crisis intervention, I've seen that we've had a number of folks come to crisis and have a lot of difficulty with the communication aspect and trying to really understand what the needs are for those individuals. So again, around the Nepali Vietnamese families. So that's what I've noticed in terms of my involvement with things.
Okay.
We also get a report, I think annually, but we could request it more often, from our Health Choices partners that list all of the languages that are utilized by the individuals that are enrolled for services under medical assistance managed care. So that also would give us kind of an outline of what the needs were.
It's just become such an issue that's requiring a lot of additional funding to put those services in place in the court systems and in these programs. So, I mean, it might be interesting. I was going to say, if there's no one here from finance at this time, but maybe we should really look at what those additional items are bringing to the budget process for us.
As an aside, one of the things through our reinvestment process with managed care was one of the ideas that was brought up and I think put forward, I'm not positive about that, was a device that can be utilized for that interpretation aspect. And so being able to provide many of the providers with that device so that it can be on, utilizing the device versus a service to be able to do that interpretation. So that's one of the things that is being looked into, and it's actually an interactive. I guess I'm not familiar with a lot of that technical stuff, but I think it's like through some type of an AI thing, and it's an interactive process versus having to call someone who does the interpretation back and forth.
Yeah, let's hope AI comes to the table for us in this regard.
Robin, I have a question in that regard, and maybe I'm putting this to the wrong person, or you could steer me the right way. But well, I'm sure you have some insight into it. So instead of us chasing this dog's tail of trying to, understand Bhutanese, Nepalese, what infrastructure exists for people to learn English so that they can function here? Are you familiar with what's there?
Well, I think within the school districts, there is what they call ESL.
Yeah, English
is
is
a
a
second language,
yeah.
and they do support students, and that's been their. I think the explosion of some of those families they weren't prepared. So I think
that system was just over.
Right. With that, I know that some of the community organizations. Trying to think of the one just down the street here that provides that English as a second language courses and things like that for folks in the community. But in terms of, I think there was just kind of an explosion that folks weren't prepared for. I was just contacted actually this week by an agency out of Mechanicsburg asking for how to get someone who was coming here. They were helping, it was a refugee, they were helping that person relocate, how to get that person connected to services. So I was like trying to figure out, well, what are the needs going to be, in terms of actual mental health needs, as well as then language needs, and how do we do all of that?
Is the language barrier a catalyst for some of these mental health issues, or are they latent issues?
Well, one of the things, and again, I want to go on too long for you guys' sake, but one of the things that we found is especially with Nepali and Bhutanese, they have a lot of slang derelicts that you don't, that aren't the traditional, I learned this language and this is what it says. Even, I know one crisis situation, they had to have the family member come in and try to interpret what the individual who was in need was saying. And that again was kind of very confusing because it wasn't your straightforward, this is what you're saying and this is what it means.
I imagine AI is going to struggle even more with that kind of
Oh yeah, with that for sure.
Depends on how they feed it.
Yeah.
How they train it.
So there are a lot of things I think to learn about that, and I don't know that there's any central agency or organization.
So the school districts seem to be, and whatever connection they have, probably with federal resources. I mean, the federal government's essentially decided South Central Pennsylvania was a great place for these people to locate.
Yeah, apparently.
Thank you.
Yeah, the school systems, I know Shippensburg is, I think 25%, I had heard of their kindergarten classes. And
South Middleton.
And South Middleton, Shippensburg, Carlisle are all ramping up ESL programs, so. Thank you, I know we deviated, but thank you for your patience on that. I'll entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the contracts for MHIDD as set forth on agenda item 20.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Robin.
And yes, Robin is also
Stop
discussing
again.
the Human Services Block Grant.
Yes, thank you, commissioners. We did present the block grant last week during the finance meeting, and I don't know if anyone had any questions as subsequent to that at all. We are asking for approval of that. We did get an extension from the state till tomorrow. So if you're able to approve that today and sign off, that would be wonderful. But I don't have anything further other than it is ready to go after your approval.
Very good. Okay. Entertain a motion.
I'll move for
A second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Robin. Moving on to agenda item 22, I will call on Kirk Stoner to discuss the CPACE program. Oh, all right, wonderful.
There he is.
Hey, good morning, Commissioners. This is follow-up from last week's finance meeting where we discussed the CPACE program. 2 actions today. One would be certifying the resolution to enter the program. The other action would be to appoint the Sustainable Energy Fund as the program manager for Cumberland County. So I see we have items 22 and 23. I would recommend the board take action on 23 first to enter the program, and then item 22 second to appoint Sustainable Energy Fund as our program manager.
Very good. Someone like to make those motions in that order?
So I will move to approve resolution 2024-20, establishing a property assessed clean energy program in the county of Cumberland and taking and authorizing other action in connection therewith.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next up is the approval of the Sustainable Energy Fund. If someone would like to make a motion on that.
I'll move for the approval.
I second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for your work on this, Kirk.
No problem. Great, thanks.
Thank you so much. All right, moving on to agenda item 24, we'll call on Bob Shackley to discuss the contracts for public safety. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Commissioners. Requesting your approval of a no-cost mutual aid agreement contract with Defense Logistics Agency, DLA, New Cumberland, for a radio frequency interoperability that lets us share frequencies back and forth with them. The agreement term is for 5 years. You want me to do all of them or just these 2 first?
Those 2 contracts, yep.
Okay. Second one is a land lease contract with Yellow Breaches EMS for the area land to construct a radio tower as part of the P25 radio project. The cost is $1 per month. Term is 5 years, and there's 4 automatic 5-year renewal periods.
We can negotiate a better rate for us.
It's about as good as it gets.
Just don't deploy the Army in your through your band there with New Cumberland.
Sounds good.
Any questions for Bob?
No, I will move to approve the contracts for public safety.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right. And with that, I'm going to hand the meeting back over to Stacy, but Bob is also discussing our next
Yes,
items.
so agenda item 25, we've got Bob continuing on for us to discuss capital project request for an uninterrupted power supply refresh. Take it away, Bob.
Sounds good. Yep, requesting approval for a refresh of our uninterruptible power supply or UPS unit. It's actually the power conditioner unit for the public safety building. The unit conditions and monitors all the power coming into the building, both from commercial power and when we switch to generator. Make sure we have clean power for all the electronics. The total cost is $162,275.
Any questions for Bob?
I'll move for approval.
I second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 And Bob actually is also covering agenda item 26, which is a capital project request for a lithium ion battery power supply. Bob.
Yep, also requesting approval for replacement of our flywheels, which provide the power during power outages during the transition period between commercial power and the backup generator power until the generators start and sync for generator power. The flywheels were installed with construction of the building in 2010, 2011, and we've been given end of support notice for them, which will end in January of 25. The replacement option will be a lithium ion battery supply unit, which will actually enhance our coverage time. Currently, we have about 1 minute of coverage until the generators start. With the power supply unit, we'll have about 1 hour. So that gives us a little bit of time in case there is a starting issue or problem with the generators that we can troubleshoot. But we do have redundancy with the generators also. Total cost for the project is $265,000.
Well, it's important that you all stay powered out there. Thank you, Bob. Someone like to make a motion?
I move for approval.
I second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Bob. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you all.
It takes us then to agenda item 27, which is a capital project request for court administration for MDJ copiers. And we have Melissa Cavanelli and Chad McCaker to discuss.
Chad is here for technical support. This is for the 10 MDJ. They were billing issues with the current copiers and they are having performance issues. So this will replace all of their copiers. Also includes, again, 9 of the courts are putting some add-ons there, paper drawers and cabinets, and the annual service agreement of $2,500. IMT will be doing setup and training and dispose of the old copiers to save on costs.
Any questions?
Listen, just are the MTJs, and I know a lot of what you do and through the court system relies on paper, but are they looking to do more electronic files?
Yes,
than?
we are actually working on a plan right now for ERMS, which is Electronic Record Management System. It's already in their computer system. It has not been implemented in Cumberland County yet. We are required to do some local rules and some policies approved by the state before we do that. We are in the process of doing that. One of our big holdups was that there were still some statutory requirements for paper to come from the MDJ to the Common Pleas Court. Effective April 1 of 2025, that rule has changed, or will change, and they are allowed to electronically transmit those records to Common Pleas. So we had this project, it's actually been in play for about a year. We were kind of like, well, let's see what happens with the rule. Now that that rule will go into effect on April 1, we have restarted that project of doing the ERMS because it was going to be very difficult. I mean, some counties were doing it. We had spoken to a lot of counties that did it and then dropped it because they still had to print the stuff and send it up here. So we just kind of waited. The feedback from other counties was not real great about it staying in effect long-term or the MDJs following through with it. It will take a while for that implementation to fully take place. Just as a side note, they are required to maintain their records for 7 years. And unless they go back and rescan everything, it'll take 7 years from the date we implement this to get rid of all the paper in their office.
Yeah.
Even if they can get rid of all the paper, because they have to maintain those for a period of time for audits. So yes, we are working on that.
Perfect.
And the rule change really helps speed that up because they are not going to have to send that paper up. One save mailing costs as well, because they're mailing big packets of
printing, mailing, yeah, that's perfect. So
but they do still have to provide paper copies to the litigants, so they still need a copier. They can't get away from that. They'll also need to be able to scan the stuff that comes in. It's our scanners too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
I've done my job.
Okay, I know you did. I was just, shoot, did I miss that? So and when litigants bring in paper, they will have to be able to scan that into the system. So they do still, they're not gonna get away from paper 100%. I don't know that anybody can, but we are moving towards getting them much more paperless than they are currently. And that rule change really has helped push this project, the other part of the project forward, because it eliminates the big issue we have.
Chad, are we gonna begin extending life cycle replacements on some of these that aren't, if they see precipitous drop in usage?
So yeah, we do that. Anytime a department asks for a new printer, we do kind of a printer assessment to determine. Now, the DJ offices, that's their only county printer. So if that goes down, we have to scramble to find some. So these are 10, 15 years old, something like that. But so the other thing is, it's a struggle for us to get them serviced.
Right.
It's a struggle for us to get parts for them. It's just a matter of time before toner goes away. So we're kind of getting on top of that before it happens.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
Entertain a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Melissa.
Okay, well, Melissa and Chad are also presenting agenda item 28, which is a capital project request for MDJ mail machines.
So on the note of more paper, they do also require, there's a lot of mailing that is required, and they have mail machines. 6 of the offices have them. They do not all use them. Some of them are close enough to a post office, I guess, that they just go to the post office. But they have to run any mail that goes out through the postage machine, and 6 of them need to upgrade to comply with new requirements, not our requirements, postal service requirements. That's all.
That's the number one reason. At the end of the year, they won't meet the protocol for the postal service, so we have to get it.
Okay. Entertain a motion. I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. 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 You approving, Gary?
I do.
Okay.
All right, so that takes us then to agenda item 29. We have a capital project request for elections for some canister bags. And we have Bethany Cesarulo joining us online to discuss.
Good morning, everyone. I'm asking for your approval to purchase rolling bags to transport the voted ballots back from the polling location on election night. These are secure bags and they have very sturdy wheels and are able to better hold the weight of the ballots that they will be bringing back. We did test run a few of these bags with 3 of our precincts for the primary this year and also the election last year. The judges really liked them. They found them much easier to get back and forth to their vehicle and also load into their car. And we would be using our grant money for this purchase as well.
Very good. I will move to approve.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. 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 Thanks, Bethany.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us then to agenda item 30 and our last capital project request, which is for the prison. We have Travis Schenk here to discuss prison printers.
Well, good morning. Just a quick observation. Might have to ask the board to change prison to adult corrections so I can move up this list from a P to an A. But other than that, good morning, commissioners. The prison is requesting approval for purchase of 4 new printer copiers, 1 in our administrative area, 2 in our records and booking area, and 1 in for our security office. The current printers and copiers are approaching the end of life cycles due to high usage. The cost of the project is $37,600. This includes the copiers and annual service agreements for 3 years.
No, I will move to approve.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye.
I thank you.
Thank you. Maybe just even jail would get you closer to the top.
Yeah, but if we're gonna change it, let's get the A. Big one. Have a good day.
I have a question for you later. I'll follow up. Got a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that takes us then to agenda item 31, which is Commissioners' Liaison Reports, and Commissioner Niederer will start with you.
Yes, since my last update, Commissioner Fashi and I attended the ribbon cutting at Central Penn College Surgical Technology Educational Center, which the board had supported through an ARPA grant, and I'll tell you, that was very cool.
Yes, it was super cool.
And very needed in the medical community. So has some wonderful support from all of the medical centers in our area. I additionally attended the Carlisle Chamber event mixer at Coet Griffey and Kelso, and Commissioner Fashi and I attended a training simulation and facility tour. We're exploring options for some virtual training, and I got to tell you, I know who from public safety I want on my 6. Based on the training that we went through, if I would ever be in that situation. I attended the Tri-County Community Action Board meeting, and we did, in addition to strategic planning, did a poverty simulation. And if anyone ever has an opportunity to participate in something like that, it's pretty mind-opening, I mean, I'll say, as to what people are facing. And I was it last evening, attended the CREDIC event at the West Shore Country Club. The only board meeting that has happened in that time period that I attended was the CADIC board meeting. You all have received that packet, so I am not forwarding any additional information. If you have any questions directly, you can reach out to me or to Janet, but basically, I'll highlight some of the items that came up during the discussion. There was some discussion over the new logo that was provided. I believe that there was no motion made on that matter. They're just going to begin using that in written and communication. Their website should be up soon. It has been a long slog. I hope that happens quickly here. The rec update was there was a meeting held with Prague Switch, and they are looking to obtain some funding through PA and our sites grant.
The rec also update on the AMP project, which is moving forward, and Kirk Stoner brought to the table information he had on the borough's redevelopment of the East High corridor, which hopefully the AMP project can also make a nice positive impact into that area. In the tourism, they added a representative from the ag community, the owner of Destiny Dairy Barn, to their committee, which I think was important that the ag be represented on that committee. Greg Welker, who is a newly hired individual with KDIC, did an update on the governor's budget and was identifying possible areas for funding for KDIC. Janet announced the LSA grant applications wrap up for KDIC at the end of this month. KDIC needs that time so they can be submitted by September. So if there are any nonprofits that are working that need assistance, please reach out. You've got a couple days to get with them. Janet also gave an update on the RACP. There are 10 projects approved by the Commonwealth where KDIC is the applicant, 3 of which are now ready to receive funding. That is Sadler, Lemoyne Middle School, and the Penn Harris. Last but not least, I did spend a half a day in Judge Peck's courtroom. Again, that was my second trip, Commissioner, after our first round, trying to watch the process of all that is happening within the courts. As we develop our strategic plan and do long-term planning for the county, it's really imperative that we integrate more fully all of the courts, the resources that are required to make the system function just are absolutely incredible to me. And the mayhem at which it functions is certainly something to see. And I appreciated everyone's patience as I was asking questions through the actions. I am not legal in background, so required a bit of tutoring on what was happening, and appreciated everyone's help through that. It was really very interesting, and we will continue to work more closely with the courts. So that's my update.
I thought that this week's court week was particularly intense. There were just a lot of people here, a lot of moving parts. So yes, paying attention to what is going on there and visiting and enlisting their thoughts and opinions are very important as we move forward.
Just to see the logistics of how it all plays out too, and all of the folks involved is impressive. And it works like clockwork in some way that as all these moving parts are somehow working like a clock. So thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner Fauci.
Well, good morning, Cumberland County. So the Local Emergency Planning Committee is having their annual summit on October 30th. Now, registration for that summit opened this Wednesday, the 27th. It will close on October 4th. You do not want to miss this event. There are already 18 sponsors. I know that the LEPC is looking for a few more. So if you're interested, it's a good time to jump in on that. The Cumberland County Library System. The library system is offering a product called Transparent Language Online. It's a free product, and it can help you learn 120 plus languages at home, in the library, or on the go. I mean, what a terrific free product. I don't know if you've ever purchased a product to learn a new language, but it's not free. It's expensive to do that. So good offering. The Cumberland County Housing and Redevelopment Authorities met on August 15th. So our Section 8 housing vouchers, the wait list right now in Cumberland County is 3,028. The wait list in Perry County is 859. The board approved the Section 8 Management Assessment Program certification for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. And the board also approved demolition fund grants for Trindle Spring Lutheran Church in the amount of $50,000 for removal of asbestos in a blighted building. And then the other demolition fund grant was to Delbrook Associates LLC in the amount of $24,900. I'm sorry, it's the amount of 18,675 to demolish a blighted property. So those are good things in the community at the Housing and Redevelopment Authority. Conservation. So Conservation District met this week, and there's a lot of really good things going on at Conservation. I am now on the tree sale committee, and I assisted with choosing the trees and bulbs that will be offered next spring for sale, and this was very fun. And I reached out to Angela yesterday because Conservation District talked about how Michelle has to take these forms and hand tally all of them and then double check everyone's payment. And so Angela is going to reach out to IMTO to see if we can turn this into an electronic application and an electronic payment. Hey, Chad.
You got it.
So, but it takes Michelle hours, well, days,
Yeah.
right, to do that. So I think.
And now if you can talk Carl into online payment for this, it will.
Well, we talked about it. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, they're very interested in moving that forward. So one of the things that happened at Conservation District, is they talked about their budget, and boy, have they tightened it and tweaked it to the point where it's just such an excellent budget. So I know that we'll be taking a look at that. The board agreed to send a letter to the Regional Director of DEP SCRO. His name is Robert DiGiorno. I went to high school with him. Anyway, it's a letter just talking about the NPDES individual applications that came from DEP it's almost like an emergency review. And what is happening with these emergency reviews is that all the other work has to be set aside to get through these reviews. So it's just a very friendly, kind letter saying, hey, can we work something out? Can we be paying attention to this? Because we really have a huge volume of work. At Conservation District, the rep there from Conservation talked about how cooperative the people that this letter is addressed to, as well as the people copied, how great they are to work with. So I'm very hopeful that something will work out in terms of those. Although we do know that this is a mandate from the governor. So I know that we'll have to work on that relationship to figure that out so that we can get our work done as well as the work we do for DEP. The dirt and low gravel road assistance for Mount Holly Springs, they're gonna do 2 new road assistance programs, Mount Holly Springs East Street, affecting Mountain Creek and several local ponds, and in Lemoyne Borough, they're gonna take a look at Apple Street. So that will be an excellent project to do. Bob Boyce and Speranza CEG had their apps approved, and I will tell you, I have learned more about manure stacks than I ever imagined, but boy, are they important to do properly, cover properly, but I am learning a tremendous amount. Brooke Bayshore, our own Brooke Bayshore, changed her name to Brooke Weary, so congratulations to Brooke Weary. What else do I have for conservation? Nothing else there, but boy, everything I learned at Conservation is fantastic. This week, yesterday in the morning, I was at the Economics Club presentation in York County. Kitty Hess from South Mountain Partnership reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to come to this? And Silas Chamberlain, Sean Kenny, and Fritz Schroeder from York and Lancaster counties did a presentation on investing in conservation and green spaces. And that I learned a tremendous amount at, and I know they'll be reaching out. I think they're interested in coming in here and talking with us about it. But the economics of investing in conservation and green spaces are phenomenal. Last night, I was at the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission at their new offices in Strawberry Square because Steve Deck retired. Steve Deck, I don't know if anyone knows this, but he used to work for county conservation in the 80s. And Andrew Baumberger is taking over as the new executive director. And, he really expressed to me last night how excited he is to have the position and how much he wants to work as a region and with Cumberland County. So all good things. I think that's it. Okay.
Thanks, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Eichelberger.
Okay, just a handful of things since I think most of you included on these anyhow. August, of course, has been the month of summer break for a lot of the boards. So affordable housing, aging, council of governments, and recycling all canceled their meetings for August, so of course, we're at the end of August, so these things will be kicking back in. I'll have more to report from those organizations going forward. However, recycling, I did get an update from Justin. August 17, of course, was the household hazardous waste event that I had been reporting on in advance. So it reports another successful event. 346 customers visited that day. 28,207 pounds, 28,207 pounds of household stuff that's not going into a creek or a landfill. So that's always good news. So as a quick update, there was a meeting scheduled on September 5th with Hampton Township, which of course is taking the lead on the yard waste recycling transition, with the goal being to institute a new authority that sort of replicate what the county has done, but to a lesser degree, apparently. I'm not sure they're going to have all takers, but that meeting is on the books. Mechanicsburg, Silver Spring, Carlisle, Lower Allen, Shippensburg are all going to be there, and they're going to hash out a lot of very important details. And I've let Justin know I'm available if they would like county representation there, or I'm happy to stay away if they would rather let the locals do their own thing. So I've been on both sides of that. I understand exactly what that's like. So more on that later. So on MHIDD, I believe most of you have included in this because Annie did send around a number of the photographs for the walk-in center in Dauphin County that's under development, and they're of course making significant progress. She did say that the contractor connections, those folks have been meeting with a number of community stakeholders, including hospitals, emergency departments, other community groups that are engaged in the issue. So they continue making forward progress. Q4 is still sometime in Q4 is when they're going to be opening the doors. Presumably, that's the plan. And so far, they seem to be tracking toward that. Of course, those things sometimes get a little glitch here or there, but so the federal advocates are meeting with the Center for Medicaid Services, Medicare and Medicaid Services, working on federal guidance for the private insurers that would be part of that center. So the regional crisis walk-in center. So that continues. And it reminds us that's of course being funded by state and federal grants. Anybody who's followed that, that's not coming straight out of the budget, but I think there is county behavioral health, health choices money being allocated to that. So they continue making good progress on that. A lot of the focus for the past month has been on interpreting, I guess, what's coming out of the state regarding the budget and the budget deficits that are involved, the ongoing challenge of providing services, as we discussed here earlier today. The $20 million statewide, it was in the governor's budget, of course, amounts to a relatively small amount for us, approximately $500,000. The deficit for our agency continues at $3.3 million. Profiled somewhat in the Carlisle newspaper this week as well. It's the development continues on the regional long-term housing option for that we're doing in partnership with Franklin and Fulton counties, and that is of course fully funded by state dollars. Has been developed for some time. Good progress on that today. That of course is for serious those with serious mental illness challenges who are involved in the justice system. So we'll be getting periodic updates on that from Annie as well. Mark Evans, the new Sue Carball, I call him, but I'm sure he prefers to call him Mark. Did send me a quick update. They have they're continuing to work on the onset for the performance-based contracting for the residential providers. Have been reported on before. First round of providers. That's going to be in place 8/31 of this year, right around the corner. So looking forward to getting some more information on the final implementation of that.
The providers were really struggling with that, Gary. I don't know if Mark had, they're having difficulty. There was a lot left, there wasn't a lot of clarity around a number of things. So I hope that they've been able to get more
I'm going to follow up with him and see if I can get a little more information on that. I can circulate that. So that 8/31 deadline is there, so hopefully that's, they're resolving their issues at least sufficiently to keep it moving forward, but I will follow up with Mark on that, share any information I get. Also, there's, he said they obviously been also on their end looking at the new budget and trying to determine exactly, what's between the lines. And said that, they essentially troubled that ODP, he states, went against their own contracted actuarial advice that many of the services are clearly underfunded. He said that they anticipate providers will be filing rate appeals against ODP based on this. So of course that's a process. The rates are to take effect October 1, and they are retroactive back to July 1, 7/1. So providers did receive in the state, but 6 to 8% increase in their rates. So a lot of change going on there. That's all I have for him. We followed up on that. And let's see. I think that covered it for me at this time. You guys have been doing a lot of stuff, and he's been very good about sharing. So.
Yeah, I believe our informational sessions were really very helpful with allowing everyone to bring us up to speed on what they're facing. So that was a great way to start off this year.
Thank you, Commissioner. So agenda item 32 is a report of executive sessions, August 14, 2024 at 12 p.m. and August 22nd, 2024 at 9:30 a.m., both regarding personnel. And that takes us then to agenda item 33, which is other business. I'll ask if anybody has any other business to bring before the board today. Hearing none and seeing none, we are adjourned.
Good, thank you.